Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, I'm a little late. All right, we already got somebody with us. I don't know how that happened. Paula's Picks. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, Paula's Picks. Um, I am your girl Tanisha Shanae. So today we are on. Okay, I see that it's actually up. So I see that we are on. We're a little late. I woke up late today. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I woke up late. Yep, I sure did. Um, but we are here for day 6. We're here for another single day, another amazing day. Besides the daylight savings, there's been a lot of really good things happening so far this week. And I know that for me, having these one-on-ones, having these every day going live, excuse me, talking about this is so important. Like the more that I'm talking about things, I'm actually like seeing and witnessing how it's impactful to people's lives. So I'm thankful that I actually show up. Even if I'm a little late, I still show up because that's what's important, right? Showing up. But I wanted to, every day I try to share like a clip from the previous day or a highlight. I have a whole bunch of clips that I do need to post, so please forgive me that the posts are not the clips are not posted yet, um but they're going to be posted. So what are we talking about today? Day 6 is, like I said, a lot of this stuff is building up within one another. So day 6, the dream I keep running from, but I can't let go of. And before I let sorry. I'm one of those people. I'm sorry, y'all. So I'm gonna tell you one of my goofy things about me. I'm one of those people that if you like end the sentence with the word, and if there's a song that has that word that you said, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna mention it in the song. I'm gonna sing a song for you. Um, and y'all know how much I love singing, but I can't sing. But that's okay. But that actually has a lot to do with this topic today. Not why I brought it up though, but so the dream that I keep running from. So if you've been following me for the last for 5 previous days, you know that I keep mentioning this dream that I had when I was 5 years old. So being 5 years old, I had this dream. That's right, Paula. Even Paula said, even late, you're right on time. That's right. That's right. I believe that and I received that. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here live as well. Um, I'm gonna keep showing up. So y'all show up too. You're following on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment below, share. Everyone share. Everyone share. These messages are not just for me. These messages are for all of us, especially for those of us that are really tapping into our purpose, tapping into using our gifts and being out here, just doing all the amazing things that God has for us to do. So yeah, so going back to that dream. So you heard me talk about this dream that I had when I was 5. I was on a stage with a mic in my hand, and there was like thousands of people, 20, 30,000 people in the audience. Never understood that dream. I thought it meant I was going to become a singer. As I mentioned, I cannot sing, but I'm always singing, right? And so that is just something that I had, I carried with me. And then 7th grade, I auditioned and they told me that I couldn't sing. So I did not get signed in 7th grade, which is fine. Things happen. But when I got closer to God, and again, a lot of this started with the weight loss journey in 2012. Started sharing my journey in 2013. Started like get into magazines and blog posts and interviews. 2014, wrote my book, and then God started to speak to me again about that dream. And that's when I understood, oh, I wasn't supposed to sing, I was supposed to speak. And my voice, is the gift that God wants me to use. And so I've gone through this battle between 2015 and now. Every few years I'm like super pumped up. I'm excited because I see the results. I see how it's impactful. I see how people are receiving the messages. And that gets me excited. But then I also run away from it because sometimes it is intimidating, right? People are not very well receptive. There's been, because I look at the dream that God gave me, we just look at it surface level. What God shows me, this is going to not just be surface level where you're going to be like a world famous inspirational speaker. I may never be as big as Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas, but I do believe I have that ability. However, there's also a spiritual part of this. And I think I run away from the spiritual part of it because there's been times when I'm just thinking I'm showing up just to show up. I'm going to speak, I'm going to teach something, and God will say, "Oh, I'm going to use this opportunity to connect with this one person that might be in the audience." And that scares me. So you're probably like, "Well, what happened?" So last time that Trump won the election, someone had an event, and they were like, we're going to get people to come and speak to the women, speak to the community. How do we get through these 4 years? And at that time, again, wealth and health was like really my big platform. So I was there to speak about that, not to allow any of this stuff to impact you, especially not to get you angry, because unfortunately a lot of people do have high blood pressure, and it's really because people are just angry. So they're walking around like, and I'm like, chill, because your pressure is going to go up, and he's still going to do crazy things. And here we are in 2025, and the crazy stuff just continues. So I had made a statement while I was speaking, and there's probably like 20 people there, and all I remember saying was, if you don't get your health in check, like if you don't check yourself with your health, or you're not accountable with your health, he'll do whatever he needs to do to get your attention. That's all that I said. I promise you, that's all that I said. Why did this lady pass out? Like, she faints while I'm speaking. So the lady faints, and everyone looks back at me because they had to look at her first to see what happened. And they look back at me, and I'm like, I didn't do it. Like, but it was like instantly, like once I said it, it was like the lady, she hit the floor. So that was very intimidating, and that happened in 2017. So that definitely had me step back for a minute, because I'm like, God, no. You can't have me out here. I'm supposed to be trying to inspire people. You taking this up a notch. And kind of found out, I think the lady was a diabetic, wasn't taking her medication or something like that. But that message was for her. So everything else that I said might have been great, but he used that moment to say, "Oh, somebody in here needs this message, and they're listening to you, so I'm gonna get their attention even more." And that was something that really made me think about, like, I don't know if I want to be that person. I don't know if I want to do something like that. So that made me run away. Then it made me, and I had to reveal this, and I had to accept this. Even like speaking to my therapist, some people are afraid of success. I mean, some people are afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success in this aspect, like, because I have no control over this. Now I can go get a job, and I know what I would need to do to become the vice president. Like, there's certain things that you can actually do that's a little bit within your control, a little bit, not fully in your control. But all of this is God's control, right? Every time I go live, every day that I've gone live, there's been some days no one's been here live with me. And then like today, we got one person on YouTube, we got one person on Instagram. I don't know. I have no control over this besides you just got to show up. That's all God kept telling me. You just have to show up. So when you show up, that's all that I need you to do. He's going to do the rest. I have to be a willing vessel. So if we're not willing to do that, this is where we're going to start seeing like, oh my gosh, I know I can be successful. No, this one, it's just like, I don't know. It could be 100,000 people one day, and that would probably scare the crap out of me. But that is something that some people are afraid of. Some people are afraid of becoming millionaires. Like, and there's actual studies about this where people know they have the capability of having impact, of being extremely successful, but they run away from that because, and they still have not programmed their minds to receive, like, this is meant for me. Like, a lot of people have this fear of, there's some people out there, and I've been teaching adults since 2010. So I've encountered quite a few adults that have the mindset of, because of where they're from, or because of their skin color, or because of their background, that they can't make more than $40,000, $50,000 a year. Like, there are literally people out there who do not believe that they can ever make $100,000 a year. And so for them, there's like they're putting these blockers there. So I can imagine why we have so many entrepreneurs out here, or people who are using their gifts and they're lowballing themselves. They're charging $5 instead of charging $50. They're not putting themselves fully out there because that's their way of saying, like, I'm gonna just do this. Like, we're doing the bare minimum, and then we're slapping like the bare minimum on it, and then we get upset because then we're gonna start complaining. Well, nobody's supporting me. It's only $5. Yeah, I read something like 2 days ago. People don't really value low budget stuff, right? The people that really want help, if they see something, and I think a digital marketer had wrote this. They said that if people see that something is like too cheap, they question how valid it is. And I was like, dang. So that could be a part of this. That could be the part of the reason why people are not successful, because they're not charging what they're worth. And then their potential consumers, who probably are their actual consumers, are looking at it and they're like, nah, that's not even valid. Like, I shouldn't be paying $5 for this. This is worth, $50 at minimum. Like, I went to a seminar last week, and it was free. And what that person did, because this person also had a ministry, that person didn't charge us anything, but at the end asked us to sow a seed. And you heard some people, and they were like, well, all I have is like $5, and I had sold 50. And I was just like, because to me, I was like, this is worth like $40, $50. Like, this was a really great seminar. The information, the personal, seeing the connection. And so it just made me think about that. That person had a lot of faith, because they was like, I'm not putting no dollar amount. Y'all, you tell me. Or you ever go to some churches and there's no shade? If your church do this, no shade. If your pastor do this, no shade. But you ever gone somewhere and they be like, God told me to tell you, so $50. Right? Just let people do what they're going to do, and they're going to give you the value that they feel that you have. I just want to tangent real quick. And then sometimes, going back to why I run away from my dream, is that, and I can't run away from it, right? I can't really let it go. And the reason why I can't let it go is because the signs become so frequent and so often. God continues to send me so many signs. So it's been like, I always have this like vision of me like packing up my bags, and I'm like, all right, God, I'm done. I did what I need to do. I done put out all of these messages. The books are there. The material is there. Like, I'm not deleting anything. And then he always sends a sign. And it's always in a sense of a person. A person is coming to me with something that they're dealing with, or he's showing me what's going on in the world, right? So some people look at social media as social media for them to, engage with. God shows me things on social media like, this is why I need you to speak about this, because you see this problem, right? Do you see this issue? This is why I'm going to continue to send you so that you can go out there and you can talk about it. That's what ended up happening to me when I wrote Dear Single in Love. When I wrote Dear Single in Love, I didn't want to write that book, right? One, the book is two single women and talking to them about what they should be doing during their healing journey. That's not a very popular, it's not a popular topic, especially not in society. And God was just like, I still need you to write this book. So he started sending me all of these, like, I would start seeing all of these videos. Videos would pop up randomly on YouTube, on Instagram, mostly YouTube and Facebook, because Instagram was still, at that time, was still heavy, photo based. But now I'm seeing and hearing women's stories of how they were They left a relationship, it was an abusive relationship, amazing. But then they jumped right into it. Was like they left dude number one on Monday, and by Wednesday, they was with dude number two, and there was no season of healing. There was no actions towards healing. And I'm seeing this, and as I'm watching it, I'm speaking, I'm like, girl, you didn't need another man. You needed to start healing. And I just kept on talking about that to myself. So I finally was like, all right, God, I'll write the book, because he just kept on like, this is why. This is why people are not being told this. They're not being taught this. No one is telling them what they can do, how this can look. So this is what you have been doing too. Like I technically have been single since 26. No, I'm lying. So at that time, I was single from 2016. And the next time I got into a relationship was 2021. So I wrote that book in 2018. So I was single for about 2 years by the time that I actually sat and wrote the book. But there was things that I was doing in those seasons because I was just like, I'm not ready. Right. And that takes a lot for some people to realize. You have to get to a point where you realize I'm not ready. Like I'm not ready for this yet. I knew that at that time, my finances was funny. I'm a believer. And if my finances are funny, I should not be out in pursuit or seeking and now if I was to meet someone at that time and it just was like that person, because I was very honest, like, look, our money is funny. I don't have it all together right now. So I'm not looking for you. I hope you don't think that I'm trying to use you, because we hear these stories, and that was exactly how it was. So I could not ignore it. And so I'm at this point, when I was in Colombia, God sent a lady, forgot her name. She's one of my Instagram followers. I'm at this Bob Marley event. There's actually a Jamaican restaurant in Medellin, Colombia. Food was pretty good too. And the lady said, she came up to me and she was like, oh my gosh, I've been following you for years. And literally that morning, I was like, gosh, should I still be doing this? Like, do you still want Miss Inspiration to like still exist? And that was my prayer that morning. And right before that happened, my homegirl that I was out there with, she's a social butterfly. Like, Audrey, you are so dope. And we were there and she's talking to people and she was like, oh, this is my friend Tanisha. She's an inspirational speaker. And I was just like, that was a moment where I had to like accept that. Like, yes, I am an inspirational speaker. Yes, you can also call me Miss Inspiration if you want to. That was me taking it back. That was me starting to own it, because it was like, you know what? People see that in me. See, people identify me as that. Why am I running from this? This is something that you want. You want this. You enjoy doing this. Like, I enjoy waking up at 7 o'clock, well, before 7 o'clock, and getting prepared to be here with you all, whether you are live or you're on the replay. And for those of you that are on the replay, you're here, hashtag replay. So I know that you were here with me, even though you wasn't live, but still come and try to join us 7 a.m. Central. I enjoy this. When I used to do this, when Facebook Live first became, I used to go live on Facebook every single day. People they couldn't stand me back then. I have people actually DM me, you don't have to send me this link. I can see when you go live. And I was just like, oh, okay. But I enjoy this. This is a part of who I am. And so why am I running from that? Oh, because I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of what happens when I do get, 1,000 people in Inspirational Trailblazers. What happens when I do sell 500,000 copies of my books? What happens? Like, I have to speak it, and I'm telling you to do the same thing. Whatever it is that you're trying to run away from, and God keeps sending you signs, He keep having people call you about it. You have to just start asking yourself and start believing. You know what, God, if you sent this one person, then I know that you're going to send the 20 that I need to make sure that I can cover all my expenses, that I can make sure that I have all the supplies that I need, whatever it is that you need to run your gift, to use your gift. He's going to supply that. We just have to get into agreement. We have to get off that fence. You know how many people sit on the fence? Good morning, Bolo. You know how many people sit on that fence for years? I sat on that fence. I got off the fence, got on the fence. I got on the side of the fence. That was all what God was showing me to do. And I was doing it and I was thriving. And then I got afraid because it was like, oh my gosh, people recognize me. Oh my gosh, they know who I am. I can't do this. This is too scary. And then I run away. And then God is like, if this girl don't sit down and she don't make a decision, and I get back on the fence. And then 2019, I got back off that fence, but I went on the wrong side. I went on the side, you know what, I'm going to just do my regular everyday things. And I'm just, Miss Inspiration has done enough. And God is just like, are you crazy? And then, what makes it worse is that a lot of times when we go to the other side, and this is the sad part, because this is actually one of the reasons why a lot of people don't operate in their gifts. The job that I was working at that time, they told me, when you work for us, you can't do any other stuff. And I was like, other stuff like what? And they was like, oh, you can't, we hear that you do speaking engagements and stuff. And I said, what's so ironic? Before I worked here, before I ever got a paycheck from that company, from that particular institution, they hired me to be a speaker there. Like, I was a speaker at that particular institution. Like a couple of years prior, they wrote me a check as a speaker. So I was just like, that's so ironic that you already paid me to use my gift, but then you want to hire me to use my skills and you want me to forget about my gift. See, I was naive. I didn't know any better. I fell into it and I was just like, okay. And I was just like, and it made me realize, like, when I finally walked away in 2021, one of the things that I said to myself was, it's crazy how our gifts is going to intimidate so many people, right? So many people. Our gifts intimidate people, right? And so Bola said, I'm reading from my iPhone, people should focus on helping people first. Absolutely. And that's how you get comfortable using your gifts. But even that still, because we can help people, and then once you see that impact, that still can scare you. That can still make you fold up, because once I think is the result of it. At least for me, that's been my problem, because there's different levels to those results. So yeah, one-on-one, someone starts crying. I'm comfortable with that. That I'm comfortable with. But then when you get to, like, you start seeing it grow, because again, and it should grow, because it should tie back to your original dream. What did I tell y'all that dream? How many people was in that audience in that dream that I had when I was 5? 20,000, 30,000 people. So why wouldn't that number and that impact grow? Because I have to still reprogram my mind to accept this. Like, your reality is going to have to match to that dream, but you still have to prepare for that. You have to emotionally prepare for that, because a lot emotionally comes from that. People don't understand. That's why anytime I do speaking engagements, I always ask them, like, can y'all just give me like 10 minutes after I'm finished so that I can kind of like regroup? Because it's very overwhelming. And then, like, I seen it happen with that gentleman. The moment that the seminar was over, everybody's like, I stood back and I waited like 5 minutes, because I'm gonna give you the grace that I would desire, because I know this man just poured out a lot, physically and energetically and spiritually, and I gave him that grace. And then I went to him because other people started to go other places and talk to other people, and that worked out, and I was like, perfect, but I think yeah, and a lot of people don't. Bola said that's why it's important. I wish we can share these notes, these highlights from Instagram on here, but we can't. So Dr. Bola said that's why it's important to get your spirit filled in God. Yeah, right. That's why we need to. That's why fasting and praying, all of those things matter. So anytime that I know, like, I'm in that season of like getting back to waking up in the middle of the night. That's why I woke up late this morning. Woke up late because God woke me up at 3:00 this morning, and we over there talking and getting prepared and getting other notes. So many times people don't understand that. And so what I'm basically preparing to do now is just this, right? Showing up for 21 days at the minimum. I don't know what's going to happen when we get to the end of the 21 days. If we get to the end of the 21 days and there's a whole bunch of people and they're tuning in, that might just become a regular thing. Maybe not 7 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. But we have to just choose, what is it that you really want? And like Dr. Bowler says, continue to talk to God. He's going to continue to give you the instructions, but don't allow your fear to self-sabotage you. You know that you can do this. Like I know what I'm supposed to do. I know that I'm good at it. I'm not arrogant about it, but I know that I'm good at it. And I want you to know whatever it is that you are good at it and embrace that. Don't believe that, well, my job never paid me to do it. Because a lot of times, and if you're part of Inspirational Trailblazers, we actually just had this conversation. So Inspirational Trailblazers is my community that I have. And I'm actually doing, we're talking about purpose right now. So now if you see at the bottom of the ticker, you're going to see where if you're interested in learning more how to join Inspirational Trailblazers, you can join them. But we actually just did 2 sessions on purpose, right? And so one of the things in the first session that we spoke about in purpose was how so many people don't know what their purpose is. And I often ask them, what are the things that people call them for? What are the things that people call you for? Because so often we can talk ourselves out of it because we're like, well, my resume says I've done these things, right? I've done these things and this is what I'm good at. Okay, that's great. But what has, oh, we got a trailblazer in the house. I figured that was you, Paula. Hey, Paula. Paula is a part of Inspirational Trailblazers. That's right. Catch up on them sessions. Everything is there. But the real milk and butter comes in, the milk and honey comes in the category of what do people call you for? What do people tell you that you're good at? We don't pay attention to that. We block that out. We're like, girl. Like they keep calling me for that. Because sometimes God has to send a champion. He has to send a messenger to bring you and say, hey, I need you to do X, Y, Z. That's how a lot of us get started. That's how I got started. Because people started to call me back in 2013, 2014. That's how I started Success Weight. My first program was called Success Weight. I had opened up my home because again, the school that I was teaching at, everyone was over 16, over 18 rather, 18 through 60 something. And I opened up my home. And these women came every Saturday morning and we worked out together. We prayed together. I would show them some type of food demonstration because a lot of them struggled with eating healthy foods. And so I would do all of this. And I think I charged them $25 a month. And I opened up my home and these women came. But that only came about because every week, the more that they kept seeing me transform, every week they were like, can you help me? Can you help me? And I'm like, God, how can I help these people? Like, why do you keep sending, I'm on my own journey. I'm thinking this is just about Tanisha. And that's when I realized, oh, it's not just about me. Okay, God, I understand. And so now that's how it started to happen. So I want you to challenge yourself and think about what are the things that people call you for? Don't worry about you being paid to do it or not before. Don't worry about that. That's not important. What do people call you for? And I guarantee you, if you write down a list, you might put up a social media post. I did that a couple of years ago. I asked my social media followers, or the people that I really know closely, if you can think of, what am I really good at? When you think of Tanisha, what comes to mind? And they were like, and people started writing things. And a lot of this stuff was a lot of the things that I do. So Bola I'm going to have Bola on one morning. Perhaps. Oh yes, I'm gonna definitely open this up on Bola. So asking people, how are you using your gifts? How are you using your gifts to serve others? Because I think we spoke about that. What day was that? I'm trying to remember my notes. Was that an inspirational trailblazers? A lot of stuff just gets meshed in together. But I think that came up in one of the 21 days of how your gifts, all of this is just to serve, right? And we all serve in a different way. So that's why I keep telling people, don't look at don't look at this as you just listening to me. I want you to look at this and say, okay, how can I apply this? Right? This is why I give y'all the journal prompts. Right? So day 6, the dream that I keep running from. You need to ask yourself, what is the dream that you keep running from? You might not be at the point of, but you can't let go of because you keep running from it. But if you keep running from the same thing, that means that you can't let go of it. In this case, we want you to hold on to that. We want you to keep on, the other stuff that you need to let go of, unhealthy relationships, toxic habits. Those are the things that we do want you to let go of. But you keep running and you keep going back. This one, we want you to actually run back to and hold on to it because you know that this is something that's very important. If God keeps giving you the same dream and he's going to keep on making it, he's going to intensify it, he's going to intensify it, he's going to intensify it. That means that it's something for you to truly pay attention to. Don't run away from it. Just go after it, right? Hold on to it. Fight for it. Remind yourself why you know that this is going to help other people. Because again, that's the most important thing. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this to help you because again, there's so many people who are sitting on that fence. You're sitting on this fence and you can't get off because you don't know. You're afraid of the unknown. This is how we have to build our faith. You're afraid of how people are going to respond. God is going to build that up within you. I had to learn how to deal with criticism. Bola was around during that time when I first started. I was on Periscope, and them people used to talk about me bad, y'all. People on Periscope talk about me bad. They was like, "Oh, you missing a tooth in the front. What's wrong with you?" And that's when I realized I had like a droop in my mouth from when I had my mild stroke when I was back 22 years old. I never realized it, and someone was like, "Why your mouth?" And I was just like, "Let me get off of here." I remember just logging off because I was just like, "Dang," and I was just like, "I can't do that." And I think the other part that, at least for me, and everyone may not relate to this because everyone may not have this problem, but I also realized that I was running from this gift because I was uncomfortable just being Miss Inspiration in every aspect of my life. In my friend group, relationships, showing up at work. And now I tell my jobs, look, you might see me on social media. I may come up in your timeline. This is what I do. I inspire people. That's it. It's nothing crazy. I'm not out here with an OF. I'm out here inspiring people to tackle and tap into their greatness. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If you don't like that, if you feel like that goes against what the company desires, so be it. I would rather walk away than be told again that you can't do that. I would rather walk away from a job rather than walk away from what God is telling me to do. And that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people won't be able to do that because it's like, well, I need this paycheck. God is going to supply and he's going to provide. And I know that takes a lot of faith. I know how that feels because I remember being in that space where I didn't know how I was gonna pay my bills. I did not know. But God was just like, don't worry, I got you. I worried. There were some days I worried, but I had to realize, okay, God, I know that you're gonna continue. And he did. He did. If you knew me 2016, 2017, it was rough, but it was an amazing experience. I always tell people I don't want to experience that kind of financial stress again, but it did build my faith. It built my faith and made me grow into the person that I understood what made me happy, right? I understood at that point, I didn't know what made me happy because everything was tied to money. So when you remove money and God is still forcing you out there to be in spaces to inspire and he's sending you places because again, he would send me places, and I'm like, but I can't afford to get there. I can't afford to get back home. Or all I have is enough to get there, and all I have enough is to get back home. And he's like, but still go. And I'm going into these spaces, and then people, I would hear a message, and God would say, speak. Like, I don't know if y'all know K Michelle. I'm not a K Michelle fan, but back in this was after the miscarriage. So after beginning of 2016, K Michelle had posted on her Instagram that she was doing like a private in studio session. And I was just like, I really didn't have money to go, but I got cute and I went, right? Because she picked me. I was one of the people that she picked to go to her in studio. And I'm just sitting there, and again, I don't know. I think at the time, the only song that I knew of K Michelle was Can't Raise a Man. That's the only song that I knew. So I remember sitting in there, and there was like, all these people, not a lot. It was like 20 people in there. And, they up there singing her songs. The engineer was playing her old music until she showed up. And then when she showed up, now she's playing the new music. And I'm just sitting there like this. Like, why am I here? Like, I really think to myself, girl, you wasted the few dollars that you had to come to this. Like, girl, she had some good songs though, because I got like 2 songs on the album that I'm like, all right, that's my jam. But there was a time where everybody started talking, right? And so I just kept getting this feeling. Once in a while, I'll get a feeling like either in my shoulder or I'll get a feeling in my leg. And it's just like, it be tugging at me. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I don't want to talk. So I finally I said something. So I don't know what I said. Guys, and this is why I say it's when you see yesterday's video was talking about the first time that, you've seen your gift, because it's really your gift, impact someone or like really changes someone, attitude, their behavior. That was another situation that happened. So after I finished speaking, I'm looking around. There's like people up here wiping their eyes. They got tissue. And I'm just like, why are these people crying? Because a lot of times I feel like what I'm saying is not profound. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. And so when I left, we got on the train. One of the gentlemen, he rode the train with me because he was going the same direction. And this boy was bawling. Like, what you said was so true. I needed to hear that. Thank you. I'm so happy that you were here. And I was just like, what? Like, is this? And sometimes I always remember it may not impact everyone, but it's going to impact that one. And so that's how I operate now. So whenever I'm asked, like, I'm speaking next week in Tulsa. Tulsa Remote is having an anniversary celebration, and they ask, members who have completed the program, they asked us to come back to come and speak as an ambassador. And I'm speaking next week. And I'm excited about that because not for me, but I'm excited to share my journey. I do believe that, one, Tulsa is a great place. If you have not been, please come out here and visit us. Because it's just I feel like it's a great city. Minus when it gets, when it gets cold. Because I feel like, so even though I'm from New York, we get cold weather. New York gets cold weather for an extended amount of time. Tulsa, it just be cold for like a moment, and it'd be a little annoying. So that's the only downfall. But now the weather is broke. Yesterday it was 80 degrees. So this is the perfect time for y'all to come out here. Hint, hint. But I'm excited, and so someone was like, oh, but are you going to get paid for that? And I was like, no, but I have the opportunity to impact someone's life. I have the opportunity to say something that can help someone with the next steps, because these are people that have completed their year. But even then, it's not just about Tulsa Remote. People now sometimes need guidance on like what to do next. And so something can happen, something I can say, I'm praying that no one passes out, because those moments be scary. But hopefully somebody can walk away and say, okay, you know what? I know what I need to do next. Or, you answered the question that I've been asking. Like, that's just how I operate now. It's like, yes, when I get paid, I love that. Right. But sometimes when people are just like, hey, can you come? I've been invited to people on people's like lives. Other people have other communities similar to Inspirational Trailblazers that ask me to come speak. They may not have anything. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind going and dropping some type of gem to help someone to get through whatever that moment that they're dealing with at that particular time. And that's just how I operate. But that comes with just embracing and not running and not being afraid, whether it's afraid of failure or afraid of success. Wow, we've been on here for 40 minutes. That's why I talk a lot. So I think I hit all my points. Any questions? We actually have people live. So do y'all have any questions? Bola has dropped some few things. So I'm actually asking you, how are you using your gifts to serve others? That's a question that Bola had. How are you using your gifts to serve others? Whether you're getting paid or not, how are you using your gifts? So if you are here live and you desire to share that, how are you using your gifts to serve others? And again, this could be in your community, your church, your friend group, at work. Because a lot of us, we do operate in purpose at work, right? I'm not saying that all jobs are like my old job. That's like, oh, you can't be this person or you can't do that. Like I said, I know people who crochet, who cook, who teach. How are you using that? And if you're not comfortable sharing that and you want to come back and you want to think about it, come back to whatever platform that you are on and share that in the comments, because that's going to also inspire other people to start kind of thinking about that. And if you are in need, if you're like, look, I need some extra guidance, I need to know, I need that purpose course, join Inspirational Trailblazers, right? Inspirational Trailblazers is a community for women 35 and over. And we have empowerment sessions. I got to finish up. So Paula, look out for that gift for this month. That's going to help you and everyone else who has joined the program. But it is right now, I have an offer. If you use code March25, you get 50% off, right? 50% off for the first 3 months. So just go to Linktree/Tanisha Shanae. So Paula said, let's put this up here. I'm an accountant, but I've been leaning into helping small business owners embrace their numbers without the stress. I love that. I'm gonna need when everything starts growing, I'm gonna need your help, because accounting, that's the one course. That's the one reason why I didn't know economics. It was economics. Yes. And so Paula, I'm gonna add this one because this is the real folks think I'm more of a counselor than an accountant. So you know what? And you probably, I'm gonna say this, you probably are a counselor, right? You just haven't received that yet because we're still operating as an accountant. So God is just using the form of accountant to help for you to do that. Like I know someone who is, oh, she said, let's chat even before you're ready. I'm like, let's chat about, but I understand what you're saying. Sometimes God would just, and people on their jobs, right? And I know someone that they talk about this a lot. Hey, Nikki, they talk about this a lot where they say that they feel like they got this job and people just come to them for like therapy, right? People come to their office and it's just like therapy for them. And they're like, but I'm supposed to be paid to be doing this job. That's right, right? That's what it is. God sometimes will just position you to be in that space because he knows that you're going to get people's attention. I think I spoke about that 2 days ago. I think that was Monday's conversation. So go back, because Monday's message was definitely that, hey, Nikki. And Paula said a former client calls her numbers counselor. I feel like we got purpose is being born here. Like you're understanding. You're just using, like, same thing with me. I'm a teacher, and God had to use me to get comfortable with teaching. And I started with Microsoft Office. That was the first class that I taught, was Microsoft Word at a small business college. And all God needed was, I need you to get comfortable with this, because now I'm going to show you. And this is where I started to coach my students. I'm coaching them through their problems, right? They're coming to me before class. They're coming to me after class. God is using me. I've had students where, God put me in that particular space at that anointed time because that student was about to go and do something harmful to themselves. God placed me there. I started to understand all of that was just preparation. So he'll use your job, right? He'll use your job and he will allow that. That's where the servant comes in, right? Yes. Yes. So I think I spoke yesterday about that. About energy transforming a place. Sometimes you show up and everything in that building changes. And people will notice that. People will come to you and be like, yo, before you came, this place was, and it was the toxic. Everybody was just negative. People were miserable, but you showed up and everything just started changing because you are the force that came in. You're the light. A lot of places people go in, it's dark energetically. And then you show up and it's like, oh, there's light here. You transformed everything just by being present. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything, right? I've experienced that. I've seen how people respond when I walk in, and then people are just like, things just start changing. And then when you leave, you hear back from somebody, yo, once you left, everything just kind of went downhill. Yeah, because the light left, right? And so a lot of people don't pick up on that. A lot of people don't soak, though they don't soak it. They don't absorb it. So it's like once the energy leaves, some people will gravitate to that. They'll cling onto it. They get a little bit of it, and now they start to add to it, right? It starts to multiply. That's what we really want. That doesn't always happen, and that's fine, right? God understands. That's fine. But yeah, so I just want us to get to that point where we're just fully comfortable being who we're supposed to be, using our gifts, allowing God to use our gifts. But when he keeps giving you that dream and he keeps giving it to you over and over, and people keep calling you and people keep tapping on your door and they keep on asking you for help, you have to get to that point where you just say, okay, God, I surrender. I surrender. Like we just got to get to a point where we surrender and we just do it because it is going to help so many people. So many people are going to be transformed. And don't focus on the monetary part of it because at the end of the day, I always believe when we show up and we do things in excellence, God will say, and he will reward us. I've had people bless me. I've had people sow into me. I've had people just, like here in Tulsa, down on Black Wall Street, Greenwood area, 109 Greenwood, my book is being sold. That just came out of a simple conversation of my mom going in there to buy souvenirs when she came to visit. And next thing you know, this lady was like, oh, wait, you got a book? Tell me about this book. And I'm telling her about my books. And she picked the book that she felt would be a better seller in her bookstore because she knows her clientele. She was like, I want that book. And I was just like, wow. Right? Sometimes you just got to be okay with being who you are because people notice it. They notice who you are. They see it. Like it's very clear. You just got to be comfortable in that. And that's where I had to be comfortable because I was very uncomfortable, right? Or I'll be in a space with other people who might be equally as successful or more successful. And it's like I get a little intimidated. We're going to talk about that another day because that's going to come up in one of the other days. So I've been on here for almost 50 minutes, y'all. I don't know how y'all still talking, listening to me, but I thank you. I appreciate you. Again, if you want to learn anything about any of my books, my community, my courses, my blog, you can definitely go to my link tree, Tanisha Shanae. And I'm going to just put that into the comments. We're going to put that in the comments also. Well, Instagram, go to my bio. My bio has all of my links, so you don't have to worry. But yeah, so I thank you. I will be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. I'll be back 7 a.m. Central Time. Again, this is the website, so you can just go there and you can just check it out and learn a little bit more about me. But yeah, I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have a great one. Have an amazing day on purpose, with purpose. And as always, God loves y'all. Have a good one.